Hey everybody, Audio Favorista here. It is day 4. It is morning and let's turn the system on. So as you can see, I did make some changes. The loudspeakers are still in the same spot as they have ever been. I placed my big rack over here in the center between the loudspeakers, something I do not advise people normally, but for this experiment this is what the most workable situation is for me. I at the moment have this as a CD player as the single source. I have my Yoshino preamplifier over here and the Audion power amplifier with 300B tubes, and I have two of them, the source and the preamp, connected to the PS Audio power regenerator, and the power amp is connected to this power bar. Now, for those of you who don't know, I have a separate power line, a dedicated power line for the system, for audio. Over here you see the two outlets that come from this Furutech box, and one is now going to the power amp and the other one is going to the regenerator. So just for the people who have not been watching the other days, normally this big rack is over there on the side, and I have now all kind of stuff temporarily over here, and I wanted to clean up like a spring clean that corner. That is the main reason I picked up this rack and put it to the side. But I thought, well, let's maybe do a few experiments, and by putting it over here it makes it very easy for me to get over here, change cables, change equipment, and do a few little experiments that I have been wanting to do for a very long time. And when the rack is over there, it's just all too crowded and too small to get behind and easily and comfortably change cables. So that is why this thing is now over here. So as you can see, I have these synergistic research cables coming from the source, the DENON SACD, going over there into the preamplifier, and then I have the same cable going from the pre-out all the way, how can I do that, like this, all the way over there to the power amp. And then I have my power cord from the SACD player going into the regenerator. The other power cord is going to the preamp, and over there you can see the power cord for the power amp going all the way over here. This is a PS Audio device. This is the juice bar 2. Lovely piece of equipment, but it's not a filter, it's just a power bar. And these two are not connected yet. So let's get into it. So yesterday evening I did do some experiments. One was where I had everything connected, all these three things connected to the dedicated power line, but all of them in this power bar. So without the regenerator, I listened to that, I made a little video about that, and then I connected the source and the preamp to the regenerator, and I played it like that. Now I have been making videos about that last night, but it was late at night and I was a bit rambling, so So what is the first impression? Well, I have been playing a few CDs, a few SACDs, and I played Roger Waters. Now, one thing for this SACD player is that it gives you a lot of details, but it is one of those more modern DACs where they aim for a lot of detail, some energy on the top end, and most of the time, also this time, that is not the DA converter for me. I like my Denafrips, it's much more analog, and this is just a bit too bright, too mechanical for me, even now that it is connected with a very good cable to a very good preamp and another good cable to a very good power amp. It is just a bit too cold, too bright, but the amount of detail. One of the CDs that I use to check detail is Roger Waters' Amused to Death, and that is what this thing does. It gives you lots and lots of detail, but the musicality is gone a little bit, if you ask me, but this is a preference. You know, I'm the one that also always end up with liking tube sound and not so much solid state sound. So it is a preference of mine. This thing is not my preference. There is another thing, because normally I have all my sources, so in this case the preamp and the SACD player, on my power regenerator, and this time this is only connected, can I show you this? Only connected to this PS Audio power bar. This is not a filter, just a power bar. It is still on my dedicated line, but man, I really think that having your sources and your preamp on a good power regenerator is an absolute must, because I've been listening to this thing in the previous setup when it was still over there, with the preamp, with this power amp, with the same loudspeakers, and it sounded better. It just did. So that was the first project. Let's move on. Here we go, experiment number 2. I still have the power amp, preamp and SACD player from Denon, but now I connected them to the regenerator from PS Audio, and I really must say that this is a big improvement. So I have the preamp and the SACD player on the PS Audio. The power amp is still on the same. Let me show you. So the power amp now is the only one in this power bar. Over here you see the two cables for the SACD player and the preamp, and this is already much better sound. The edge has been taken off a bit, as voices have more body, guitar sounds more like a guitar. I'm telling you, if you have a good system and you don't have any filtration or at best a regenerator, you are absolutely missing out. Okay, that was the second experiment. So what are those experiments that I'm going to try out in the next period? And I'm not sure yet if those things are actually going to happen. Those are just things that I would like to do. So one of the things, of course, is that I have my wonderful Lumen A1 streamer. This is a very expensive streamer. And then we have the WIM streamer, which is much more cheap, and downstairs I have the Blue Sound streamer. So maybe a comparison between those three. Now I have the Denafrips Pontus. This has replaced my Denafrips RS2, so maybe a comparison between those two would be interesting. I have, of course, my wonderful power amp over here, and I still have the fuzzy that I can use as a power amp, so maybe that could be a comparison. I might do a comparison between these 300B tubes and these 300B tubes. And one of the main things that I want to try, and maybe one of the most important videos that I'm ever going to make, is a video about the dreaded topic of cables and stuff. So my idea is setting up the best system that I can, from power amp, preamp, my super CD player from the two DENON pieces of equipment, set up a very well system, make sure that they already are, but make sure that speaker placement is perfect. And then what I'm going to do is to have one recording where everything is set up the way that an audiophile would set it up, and then another recording where everything is set up the way the naysayers would set it up. You know, cables don't mind, especially power cables don't mind. It's the end of 1,000 yards of, I don't know, DACs are all the same, digital is digital, all that stuff. So that is where I will set up the system with just generic power cables that you can buy at the handy store, cheap interlinks, not of course on the dedicated power line, but on another power line. Have power bricks like this instead of like this, and just have all those things that the naysayers say it doesn't make a difference. Change all that to the way that they would do it and see if there is indeed a difference or not. And I'm going to record it, because otherwise the naysayers will say, well, you just want to hear it. Yeah, well, naysayers, you just don't want to hear it. So we're on equal footing. That's why I'm going to make a recording of that. That is the main experiment that I want to do. This will take some preparation, but those are the things that are going to come. Now, okay, that is all that I have for you guys today. I will finish with a little piece of music that I want you to listen to, where I have the camera that I'm using now with the microphone that I'm using now, recording the sound. And in the future I will make more serious recordings, but just to get a glimpse of what is happening over here. So thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, do all the things that YouTube likes, and I will see you tomorrow.